the introductions now.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to get things started off? Or...
Yeah, sure, no problem. All right, welcome back to the stream, guys, and now we are going to start with No Straight Roads. And I am joined here by my fellow runner, Steb. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Steb. I'm somewhat basic, like a. I'm gonna start the sentence again.
No problem.
Yeah, I've been running this game more or less since it came out. Never really been that good at it, but I mean,
I some work.
I ran any percent for like a little while, but nowadays I mostly run the all rematches category. And this is Moistrock, who runs a lot more of any percent and also any percent no major glitches.
Yeah, just like Steb, I've been playing the game since its release, which was August of this year, actually. So
yeah.
there are actually there are 4 categories to this game that are mainly popular, which is no major glitches, which Steb just explained I usually run. We have any percent, which we are about to showcase right now, which we are in patch 1.3. We will explain the differences later on. We have the boss rematch, which Steb mainly focuses on, and then we also have the 100% category. But right now, we have Zuka, one of our Japanese runners, also followed by commentary by Frog, the second Japanese runner in our community.
Both very, very good at the game, I should add. Like, every time I felt like a lot of times I felt like I was like really making like significant like, oh, I might like get to the top of the leaderboard with like all boss rematches, and then one of these two would come along and take like 45 seconds off the record.
I mean, these Japanese runners, like, not only are they just super good, like, solid-wise, they are just very technical. They know they've been labbing out different strats along with the rest of us, so they are no slouch.
Yeah, I think Zuka was originally the one who found the cliff skip that we're going to be seeing in this category, and Momo Frog found the first like one of the first consistent setups for 10-10 skip in all rematches. So these guys have like not just like being good at running the game, but these guys have a lot of like technical know-how behind them.
Yeah, and actually before he starts, we should quickly mention that No Straight Roads is essentially a beat-em-up action style game with a lot of boss fights and a few platforming sections here and there. It's somewhat similar to Cuphead in terms of some designs in the battle, but as I just mentioned, all the boss fights, we are actually going to be fighting only 2 bosses and skipping all the platforming in the any percent category.
Basically, yeah. Basically, we're gonna be skipping basically aside from like some overworld stuff. We're gonna be skipping like all of the platforming. Basically, in terms of like story and such, this game is basically about like you live in a city that gets its electricity from music, and you play as an indie rock duo who are fighting to take down the evil, corrupt government hegemony of EDM. That's the simplest way I can put it.
Yep, and we wouldn't say any more. Actually, if anything, any percent technically does skip out on some of the more interesting boss fights that you can play for yourself on the Epic Games Store because it is 30% off right now, making it $27. And because the Epic Games Store also provided everyone with a $10 coupon, so you can snag this game up for yourself for $17. So I mean, that's quite a steal from $40 from the initial base price.
Anyway, we should probably be talking about what Zuka's actually doing on stream. So what you saw first was just a little bit of movement to get into this tutorial area. You saw one thing they did was they were like dodge rolling around all over the place, but whenever they climbed up onto those boxes, they would like they would dodge roll off, which allowed it to turn into an air dash, which then also meant they still had a dodge stored up, so they were able to get a bunch of movement speed through the air. So that was just sort of a nice little efficient bit of movement to speed up that otherwise uneventful corridor segment. So right now we're just going through a somewhat auto-scrollery tutorial. There's a lot of waiting around you have to do. Currently, they're playing as the first character of the indie rock band that you play as, Bunk Bed Junction, which is Mayday, the guitarist. She does a lot of like heavy, like 3-hit combos. You can see right there with a guitar. You can see him beating Zuka beating up the enemies. And in a little bit as well, we're going to be seeing a projectile section coming up to hit airborne enemies. And Moistrock, I think you had when you like ran this game the other day on the hotfix, you had a really good explanation of the mechanics behind this. So
oh yeah, well, it was a very annoying RNG aspect at the beginning when we first started running this game. So in a little while, you see these notes. When he picks up the notes, he fires them. So when you fire the notes, if you were to just stand still, or if you were facing some direction other than forward, then sometimes your notes would either go straight towards the robots, or they would orbit around each of the flybots, which wastes around 1 to 2 seconds. So that was RNG beforehand. Zuka was the one who actually pointed out that if you run towards the flybots when you're shooting the notes, it just goes for a straight line path no matter what. So everything that we do in this introduction, now we can get rid of the RNG aspects of it. And also the reason why I'm emphasizing the fact that we want to kill all of the bots within each wave as fast as possible is because this whole introduction, all the attack patterns, all the spawn rates, and for a specific parry section that comes later on, it's all determined on the music cycle. So if you delay at any point, you start missing the instant shots from certain enemies, certain drops, and then it just becomes slow overall.
And yeah, what with it being a rhythm game, pretty much everything, or like a heavily music-based game, a lot of stuff on this is on like a timer with the beat. Well, anyway, what we're seeing in the run at the moment is Zuka was just demonstrating with the other character Zook. That's going to get confusing to refer to.
Yeah.
Zuka and Zook, but basically what we were seeing was Zook jump cancels, which basically Zook is a combo attacker. He's the drummer of the band, and basically by canceling the first attack of your combo with a jump and then canceling out of the jump with another combo, for some reason the game gives you like just a boatload of attack speed, and you go from attacking like da 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 to
and also just to mention, what Zuko was demonstrating there earlier with how he was able to just continuously combo, usually if you were to do a rapid, so there's two forms. There's one which is a jump cancel reset, where if you notice before, Zook usually has only 3 notes at the beginning of the game, which you can do the max combo, and then if you max out at 3, then you have to wait for a cooldown period, and then you can do the next 3 swipes. Now you can actually jump in after the first attack, and then you reset your combo counter back to 1. That's going to be very useful for the DJ subatomic fight, as that way we're able to hit some of the planets, which we'll go later. But also what he's trying to do is doing rapid fire modes, which Steph just explained earlier, where he's firing at basically 2 to 3 times the rate. And he is very technical with this, because he's able to avoid the 3-hit cooldown period, and he just keeps pressing the jump at the exact moment where he can just keep resetting over and over and over, which is very, very hard to do.
Yeah, I did not actually, I'm gonna be real, I did not actually know that you could just go right into another jump cancel combo by jump canceling the last hit of the combo. Maybe it's just because I play all rematches and I'm used to like the finisher throwing it off, but I'm too used to like having to get to the end of a combo and then be like, oh, okay, time to get another one going.
Yeah, I mean, Zuka, when you just watch all of his current runs now, like, he just relies mainly on just the rapid fire cancels, but he just times it perfectly where he doesn't even need to wait anymore. So the damage that he pulls off on his runs is by far the fastest out of any one of us runners. So he's definitely, I would say, one of the top runners in our community by far.
So yeah, that was more or less, that's Zuka just coming out of the tutorial at the moment, and now we're going to be going into kind of basically some expository dialogue combined with basically just running through Vinyl City, which is the city the game takes place in, on the way to as I say, we'll have some unskippable dialogue along the way, but also we'll be moving on the way to the first boss fight, which is DJ Subatomic Supernova. And now watch as Mayday is like rolling along on this like boulevard, you can see Zook, who's controlled by the AI, following along behind her and having to constantly teleport forward to be able to catch up to Zuka's movement. Keep that in the back of your mind. That's going to become very important in about 8 minutes from now.
Yep. And a bit more explanation, we are going to figure out that the contest was actually rigged, and then once that happens, some more bad stuff happens, concerning a blackout's about to occur, and then we are going to see that a bunch of the higher elites, mainly the NSR artists, get all the power. stored to their facilities. So that's never good. Also, fun thing to note, it turned out that DJ Subatomic, there's no actual test stage for the approach, which would be a platforming section, but if you look on YouTube, there actually is a soundtrack for an approach that Subatomic would have actually had. So that is interesting to know that he would have actually had a tutorial for both platforming and boss fight section. I guess they scrapped it just because they wanted to make it more simple, and they left the approach to Sayu, which we will be skipping, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like either there was like a cancelled approach for DJ, or they just thought for that, like, because I know the track you mean, it's like a 9-minute mega mix of like all the approaches, and I guess they figured it'd just be weird to start with Sayu, so they were like, oh, I'll go back and do like a little thing for Fishbowl Man.
That's true. You know, honestly, if this game ever got released with like a definitive edition, it would be nice to see maybe an approach for DJ. But as we're saying that, we are entering the DJ Subatomic fight. Zuka has basically optimized the beginning of this first route. So as he skips the cutscene, he goes straight for these 2 inner planets. Because they're going to be in line, he's going to be able to hit them both twice.
Yeah, we need to hit these planets because because DJ Subatomic Supernova over here is basically unreachable, so we need to hit these planets to be able to gain note projectiles so that we can shoot them at him, and that's going to be our main way of dealing damage. And I could see those ridiculous jump cancels. You're not really supposed to be able to get projectiles all that fast, but
or that many per planet.
Yeah, all that many. Yeah, normally you can hit each planet like 5 times before it zooms away, but by body blocking the planet and then just like mashing those jump cancels, Zuka is going to be able to get way more projectiles than you'd otherwise normally be intended to. Like you can see there, if you're standing in the wrong place, then those planets are just going to get away from you. Thankfully, in this third phase, the planets will momentarily stop while DJ charges up like a laser attack. And thankfully, that means that Zuka's going to have plenty of time to farm up just a whole bunch of projectiles to do enough damage to skip what would be a really long attack and go right to the final parry phase.
Also, Zuka's just going crazy. Like, he's just going so crazy. His jump cancels are actually on point.
Yeah, wow.
Also, just to mention, with the laser phase also, before, if he had just, because he was staying behind the planet, the laser actually gets blocked, so that way he's just able to keep firing away. I'm really certain, usually you can only, if you do it the slow route, which is the jump cancel reset, which I mentioned, which you didn't even do, he just went for rapid fire cancels. You can usually get the end of the phase, like 1 planet after the laser, but he just finished that after the laser, so that's a huge time save, actually.
Yeah, that was incredible, actually.
Good stuff to Zuka, and now we saw there was the final phase, which is nothing more as an auto-scroller. All you have to do is just parry all the planets. You are allowed to miss 1 planet, but other than that, there's no real time save, only time loss.
Yeah, it's just a matter of hitting the square button in time with the music.
And there it is, as DJ Subatomic Supernova. I'm interested to see what the time is on that one.
Yeah, every boss calculated will show you like an in-game timer and like a combo count and such right at the end. Normally the in-game time doesn't really follow along with real time, but it's still interesting to see.
Yeah, he got so it's not 2 minutes, he actually got a 1 minute 45 or 54. That is very, very good.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, the game can't read a time above 2 minutes for some reason, so that's just an interesting thing to know. But yeah, that's pretty solid. This first phase could have been faster, but I mean, hey, it doesn't need to be perfect, but that's clearly faster than any of us can do it.
Because I did notice he did the first phase with Mayday, which, is that faster?
Yeah, that is faster, because
okay.
If you were to start the phase off and do the 2 inner ring planets as Zook first, Zook doesn't have enough damage to the point where to kill the disco balls in 1 cycle, they would just zoom off. So now that's why we use Mayday for that.
Okay, so now is going to be the part where any percent becomes any percent. Zuka was the one who originally found this glitch, and not to my own horn, I was the one who suggested that we apply it in this specific location.
Oh, he's using my setup.
Oh, that was a quick setup.
Okay, so normally that okay, so before the original setup that we used to do for that one, you would actually go past the door, and then there's a certain corner. So either way, Mayday stands still in either the door that she was placed in or in the corner. And because she's placed still there, we switch to Zook, and then Zook, you run a certain amount of distance, and once you do that, you look towards the cafe, and then it spawns Mayday below the map because of what we just mentioned before in the running to the edge. Whenever your characters are a certain amount of distance apart from each other, they have to rebound. But because Zook is in an odd position, to say the least, Mayday rebounds to an area that is technically closest to Zook. And in that case, it's below the map.
Yeah, an area that has, like, pathable ground, but is outside the bounds of the map. And now we're just falling through the void, and basically, Zuka's gonna go straight to the final boss. We just fall out of bounds for, like, a solid minute. And, if you're listening on the stream, you can hear that, basically, Zuka's gonna be mashing the jump button, and is gonna be listening out for when he hears the footsteps of Zook on the bridge to the NSR tower above him, so that he can switch back. Because the game will try to, well, again, through the same, like, AI partner teleporting principle, will try to bring the AI partner to the closest solid ground, which in this case happens to be right outside the final boss. So now we've gone from the first boss basically straight to the final boss fight against Tatiana, who is, like, the CEO of the NSR Corporation.
And just a quick thing to mention, in the 1.4, we are actually on the 1.3 update, so this is a patch down from what we currently have, which is the Christmas 1.4. So, the thing that made this different for the 80% route now is, if you were to do this exact same routing, if you were to go to Tatiana's tower, you cannot enter the boss fight. That's because the devs have now implemented a trigger where you actually need to fight DK West, which is the third boss in the game. But we have to do a bit more complicated routing, where we still do the same out of bounds that Zuka just did, but then we enter Yinu's approach, we complete it, we exit the boss fight, and then that way it triggers, or the game reads that we fought both Sayu and DK West, and then you can enter Tatiana's tower. So generally adds around maybe 5 to 6 minutes to the run, but overall not too bad still.
Yeah, this patch, yeah, that patch came out with the Christmas update, which I think came out like the beginning-ish of this month. And actually, again, major credit to Zuka, because they were still they had not updated their game yet, and it was only because of them that I was able to get the files necessary to downpatch the game back to 1.3. So I know we harp on this a lot, but really Zuka is kind of the X factor of this community, really.
And those
right now we're just kind of styling in the elevator with those jump cancels. Wow.
Oh wait, he's starting as Zook. This is interesting. So okay, normally for the Tatiana boss fight, you see he's going for this cog. So normally every time you start a phase, you would have to go hit this cog first, and then when you do that, it will transition to the next phase. Because if you don't kill the cog fast enough, it resets the whole phase entirely, which is pain. So at least in the speedrun, we're always able to kill the cog fast enough. And now we're just gonna hit Tatiana for a bunch of hits. Oh my gosh.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, please. She's just the CEO. Nice work. Alright. That's the entire first phase.
Wow. So yeah, yeah, basically you just... Normally in every other category where we have access to Mayday's charge attacks, we would be using like specific setups to manipulate the positioning of the cog and doing it within certain time frames to guarantee certain AI behavior from Tatiana. But here, like, Zuka's kind of just going to go ham on the cog and then go ham on Tatiana. Oh my god!
He almost killed her before the teleport.
Oh, that was almost...
That's a slight time loss, but it doesn't matter because that is so good for him.
Yeah, good grief.
Also, just to mention, the faster he kills the cog, because the game wasn't intended to be, or the cog phases weren't intended to be beaten this fast, Tatiana will just stand around and do nothing. So,
yeah.
The faster he does this, the longer Tatiana stands still, and that means more hits for Zuka. So,
yeah, I think it's dependent on the music somewhat, like dependent on what point the music is at when Tatiana comes down in the first phase. She can either stand around and get ready to do a fireball attack, or she can What's the
it's fireballs or it's swings.
It's fireballs. Yeah, she can like teleport straight to you for a sword attack, and generally that's the one you want to see because it means you don't have to travel to her, and it means that before she actually attacks, you can get 1 or 2 hits in with Mayday. So now we're kind of just waiting.
I don't know if Zuka meant to just dodge because he's low enough health to die. Let's see if he does it. Okay, he is. So the reason why Zuka is choosing to die here is because you can just reset from after you're down in a boss fight, and it gives you the lowest rank when you do that, which is actually good in our case because this means that you spend less time on the results screen. Here he goes, Zuka's just gonna go wild. Yeah, keep it.
Yeah, because the way it lowers your rank is by capping your score at 49,999, which is the highest score you can get and still get a C rank. So normally doing this, we would basically, with this kind of performance, we would basically be guaranteed an S rank. So not only is this basically a free refill and means we don't have to worry about dodging, but it also means that we get to save like a second or 2 on the results screen by taking a death at like any point during a boss fight.
That was just insane to watch, though. Just seeing, I don't know how he consistently does that. You know what's crazy too is that
just said we're on world record pace.
Yeah, just saying. He does this with one finger. Normally, like I usually do, like with my index, and my middle, but Zuka just knows how to do it with his thumb. Like,
oh yeah, I do it with the thumb as well. You gotta like hit the square button with the tip of the thumb, and then like hit the jump button with the middle of the thumb.
That's insane. Like, yeah, see it? Now he has a C. He even gets less, not only just a less score, like the big circle, but also less fans. Gonna pick up the 3 collectibles right here, and now he's gonna go on to the finale.
Yeah, the finale is basically... I'm not going to say what happens in the ending because we didn't even watch the cutscenes or meet the characters to give any of this context, but basically, bad things are happening and a satellite is about to crash into Vinyl City, and we have to go back through the city, and basically all of the districts that we liberated from the NSR artists and turned over to the power of rock, we gotta sort of politely give them back to EDM so that we can have the energy necessary to make a satellite not crash into the city.
Yeah, we don't need to give context on which characters you're going to see, because if you want to experience any of the soundtrack or the game yourself, again, we hopefully didn't spoil too much in this run. But yeah, now we're just going to, for each district, we need to transform 4 energy orbs, and then once you do that, we do a duet, and then that'll give us a cutscene, and then we transition to the next phase. But this is tech that I found out, so it turns out you can actually activate the duet earlier than intended. So at any point, you can actually do the duet, and you can switch characters in between there. So normally, what you would do is you would just transform all the 4 orbs, and then do the duet, wait like around 2-3 seconds for it to finish, and then you get the cutscene. But instead, we can just activate the duet ahead of time, switch, activate the 4th orb, and since the game checks to see if all 4 orbs are transformed, then we can just skip the cutscene earlier, meaning that we save around 2 to 3 seconds for each district. And also the positionings of each of these energy orbs are always going to be the same. So from Eve, it was actually a counterclockwise diamond starting from the right. Here for Tenten, it is going to be a clockwise right triangle starting from the bottom left. So transformations, and he's going to do the glitch again. There we go. And then for Yinu, it is going to be a counterclockwise rectangle starting from the top right. Sayu is going to be a clockwise rectangle starting from the bottom left, and then DJ Subatomic is an hourglass shape.
Also, yeah, just to confirm what was just said in chat, I went back and watched the world record run. Zuka is like 15-20 seconds ahead of world record right now.
Yeah, he is.
This run has been ludicrous. Like, I cannot stress this enough.
It will be a nail biter. Actually, I think, because there's one time Zuka didn't actually know about the whole switching to the duets until he saw one of my streams. So if this actually might be world record pace, because I don't think he did this during his last run for 1.3. Also, not to mention, Zuka does have the world record for the Christmas patch for any percent too. So yeah, this guy is pretty well or at least familiarize himself with basically this category at this point.
Zuka also has the world record at the moment for all rematches as well, I should clarify.
And 100%, he took that one from me. I'll get you one day, Zuka. Another 2.5 hours that I have to spend to try and beat you.
So basically, all Zuka needs to do from here, assuming this run does end up finishing at world record, is get no major glitches, and then they've got it.
Oh, he accidentally didn't do the duet at the fourth one there. He did the duet at the beginning, because while you're doing the duet and you're still transforming, you actually have iframes in between. So normally if you were to just transform first, you will never have enough time to transform the first energy orb. So using the iframes, he's able to just eat the explosion without actually taking damage, nor getting interrupted, and then he can just go on.
Okay, yeah, I went back to watch the run, and in Zuka's current world record, they didn't use the early duet on the last transformer in, like, I don't think any of the finale setups.
Yeah.
So that'll be where they're gaining all this time.
So, besides missing the Saya, as long as he doesn't forget to do it here, then he's going to save 7 to 8 seconds overall, which is still really good.
Yeah, like each time, basically.
Does he get it? He missed it. No, he got interrupted. I think he got hit by one of the bots. He did the duet, but then he couldn't. I think he lost track.
He got like body blocked a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes the bot spawns are very bad. You can't see exactly where you are. Some of the camera angles are just very rough. All right, but still, he's still saving time. It's still time saved, and right now we're at 23, 40, or 50. This is very close. Actually, I would bet that he's... No, actually, never mind, because the finale part. Ooh, this is coming very close.
As long as they come in under 25, 26.
Yep.
Which, I mean... They've got 90 seconds. They've got 80 seconds to do it, basically.
Exactly, the duet there for...
I did not know you could use the duet in this part.
Yeah. Oh, you could use it, just nothing will happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Ooh, misses the ground pound on that second robot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
basically at the moment we're just killing time until Tatiana shows up to just eat away this army.
This might be a sub 25. Oh, maybe it comes very close. It takes like 20 seconds for this rise up section.
Yeah, this is the most agonizing thing in like any speed game, is just 20 seconds of not doing anything before you're allowed to declare time.
It might... Oh, no, I don't think he got it. It's gonna be like...
Oh, no.
No, 3 seconds, I think.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, 3 seconds. No, it's...
No.
Well, guess what? That's still a world record, baby.
Yeah, that is still a world record by a considerable margin, but
yes, 21 seconds faster. He was, I would say, despite a few technical errors here and there, that was almost a near perfect run.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. If we just iron out those last few imperfections at the end in the finale sequence, this game could very easily go sub 25. But yeah, world record at a marathon. That's, I mean, milestone or no milestone, that's incredible in my opinion.
I mean, it was just solid play overall. I don't think Zuka should be beating himself too hard for that, because he demonstrated everything that he needed to, and he just showed off all of the hard tech. Got the out of bounds on the first try, not to mention, because...
Yeah, with a very clean setup, like, wow.
There's nothing else to say other than GG's for Zuka.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head there. Big thanks to Zuka, to Momo Frog, to everyone who's like made this marathon possible, both on the speed gaming side and on the RTA in Japan side. Yeah, this has been wonderful.
That was a good run to watch. And we should also mention beforehand, if you're interested in this category or any of the 3 others that we have mentioned, which is NMG again, which takes around a little over an hour, the 1%, which takes over 2.5 hours, and then we have the boss rematch, which takes around less than 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct?
Yeah, the boss rematches generally, a good all rematches run should come in at under 20 minutes.
Under 20. Okay, perfect. Well, if you're interested in any of those categories, then feel free to go to speedruns.com for the No Straight Roads, and then you can find our speedrunning Discord right there. We do have some of the Google Docs and some resources that can help you get into some of these categories. So specifically, we have just worked on a 50-page document for the NMG and for the any percent route that you just witnessed. And then we are working on doing the 100% and the boss rematch category. Plus, seeking, you can actually do any of the boss rematches for all 3 difficulties. So we actually have someone who is doing the hard modes and the crazy modes for that as we speak. So yeah, it's never too late to join.
Yeah, we're always happy to welcome new runners. Sorry, I said that sentence like I was gonna go somewhere with it, but that's we're always open to new runners. Absolutely.
Speaking of which, we have a few. I think the community overall, we have at least it's like 20 plus people. We're pretty small. We have quite a few people who've played the game casually already, and so we're just looking for other people to join. We have quite a few NA runners, quite a few EU, and then Zuka and Momo are main Japanese runners, as no one else has really joined from or who has gone the bandwagon yet. But hey, it's never too late.
Absolutely. If this looks fun to you, then give it a try. Also, just play No Straight Roads casually. It's a very good, probably one of my favorite games of the year, I'd say. It's incredibly charming. The art style is wonderful. The soundtrack is incredibly good.
And speaking of the soundtrack, even if you do not have the interest of buying the game, but you did like at least the news from DJ Subatomic and want to hear more, the entire playlist can be found on YouTube, Spotify, and there are not only EDM tracks, there's also the rock versions and the newly released Christmas tracks.